Busting the world's oldest conspiracy by revealing the first writer's formats in the Bible. Have you ever wondered who is editing the Bible? These are some of the words written by the 1611 King James translators that are wrote in its preface. They state 4 reasons how anyone can re-edit the text in the Bible. Their third reason is by the light and feeling we attained unto ourselves. The next arrow down points to them writing, a great clerk, Gregory, is the divine, spelt with a capital D. At the bottom, they will tell you by studying the Bible, your reward is to have a participation in a heavenly nature. Whereas the Bible's words should be telling you how to be obedient to our Creator to enter into heaven. Now you know by their own words, they are not the good guys editing the Bible. Here, let me show you the 12 commandments that are listed in Exodus chapter 20, verses 1 through 17. Surprising, isn't it? Now let me show you how I changed one word in Exodus chapter 26, verse 26, the word bars to arches, and now you know that these planks make the hip roof for the tent for meeting for YV. Why did I just use 2 letters for our Creator's name? Well, Hebrews did not have the letters J, O, or W in their language. Therefore, I am closer when I say the letters YV in English than anyone else. It is better to learn how to pronounce these 2 letters in Hebrew. Our Creator made me see Him 8 times, and these videos are my recording of how and why I am re-editing their text. Then all these books that I am editing will be made into one book in order. In my YouTube description, it has our Creator's hidden formats in a PDF of the same text. In fact, it is a message to everyone today and in the future. I have also made many different styles from these hidden formats for copyright reasons. All right, let me go over the last chapter so you're introduced to this king and a little bit of what the story is going to be, because this is one of the rare times that the same story is continuing in the next chapter. This is where this king here from Aram had gathered his army to surround Samaria. And there's going to be a famine going on the inside. And then the king sends to Isaiah, and then he's asking for, this is the question he's asking his messenger with. And as you can see, these are 3-verse formats. And to find these 3-verse formats, I'm using 2 major words, and a lot of times the word then is not used as a major word. It depends on the style of the writer. And then these major words I use this least amount of small words I can to connect them to make them sound or to read easily. Now, this first one is usually a statement in a 3-verse, and then it's a comma in a state, or these 2 become a sentence that define what this statement is. This becomes a small paragraph. When there's 2 of them together that you can see that they're going to continue, this makes a larger paragraph, so you'll see that I have double space here, and to divide it so the reader understands what's going on. I honor and respect our Creator by using all capital letters and coloring them in purple. Now, Jesus' text will be read if this is not in proper English. What I'm doing is revealing the hidden formats. So this is my recording of what I'm doing with all the text, and I only have one more book after this to do, I believe. So getting real close to the end. What I'll do is I'm going to go through and I'm going to do some editing like what you see here. I'm going to throw out text that makes no sense or isn't needed for the story to continue, because when you see what I just done here in this text, when you read it, all that stuff I removed, this still came out, and it's like it never was supposed to be there to begin with. Now, I'm declaring to you that our Creator made me see Him 8 times. So if you want to discuss anything, let me know. Other than that, there's videos in the description of YouTube that define what I'm saying in a lot of videos. In fact, the one that's called Self-Proof of Afterlife, I talk about how our Creator made me see Him. And then you can actually, males can visit the abyss, know that they're going to have a soul in the abyss, and then they'll be able to talk to those that are dead, that are there, the proof of afterlife. Now, I do have warnings on that, so make sure you write down and actually understand what's going on if you're going to do this self-repeatable proof of knowing that there's an afterlife. Now, the story that I started with here was, the question was going to be to Elijah. So this here, then Elijah said, listen to the words. Oops, I wanted it green, that I'm adding that. Then Elijah said to him, listen to the words. Said to me from YV. And that's what I do to replace a word. These you can see I'm adding. Okay. Now, if I go by the 3-verse format that's above, this needs to be cut here. And now I have tomorrow about this time, a measure of flour I'm going to get rid of all this and say tomorrow about this time at the gate for Samara, at a gate. And usually this speaks of the entrance gate, where the guard tower is going to be for people to come in and out. I believe they had other gates, but for those that live there to travel easier. Because I know Jerusalem had 4 gates. So I'm thinking, why wouldn't Samara have more than just 1 gate? But maybe they only had 1 gate. About this time, at a gate for Samara. No, I'm going to go back here and get rid of this. Gate for Samara, which is a capital city. And let's see here, if I bring up this map so you know that we're talking about Israel, which is all this side. This is a different map. It's one from Jesus's time. So what I've got here is Samara is here, and this is the text that's been revealed. There is a story that's coming up. Jehu is going to come from here, travel along here, travel along this road. I don't know if he's got a path here that he can travel, but the object is that this road here actually is up on a steep slope. So the thing here is when you look at the guard that's going to be at this gate is going to be reporting about him, and then there's going to send out a messenger, and then the king's going to get out, ride out to see what's going on. So here, the guard has got to be able to see this. The all this has to prove that it's around this river. Otherwise, he could not possibly see that distance in a hill country. So now you have the location of where Samaria is at. This time tomorrow, whoops, these are all our creator's words. At the gate for Sparrow. Well, this is, they're trying to put this text inside the text. And this also shows when they're starting to add the text and corrupt the text inside the format, because a lot of times, sometimes these will make a format style. See how this is all got that style, except for maybe that word there. But the object is maybe this word here was even added later after the text was written like this. This they didn't have, so it would have been a measure of fine of flour for a shekel. Yeah. So this would have been divided over here. And then this would not have existed. Okay, so that's how you can see the writers knew the style that I'm revealing, how they would have added text to the text already. So now comes, let's see here. And a royal officer on whose hand the king leaned answered, prophet said, behold, if why we should make the heavens open. This is going to be removed. Now here comes the answer. This would have to be, there will be this word I don't need. These I'm adding. There will be men at the entrance of the gate. And they will say to, this has to be each day. Because as you can see, I'm trying to get the format to become a 3-verse format. So this would be like this now. There will be men at the entrance gate, and they will say to each other, why do we sit here until we die? If we enter, if we enter in the city as a famine, we will die in there. if we sit here, I think this is already said here. Yeah, why do we sit here until we die? So this is a repeat, so I don't need this text. Sorry, I just had to check the microphone to see. Oops, maybe it should be a little bit closer. I try not to get it too close, so you have to hear my breathing in between. I have asthma, so I suck in air quite a bit here at my. So, also, let us go. This had to be approach. Therefore, I don't think I'm going to need this. Let us go approach them at the camp for the Armenians. Okay, so now I guess I'm going to have to use this group, because this, if they spare us, if they spare us, or if they kill us, if they spare us, we will live as captives. They will. I don't think I need this, but or has to be the word that I'm adding. If they spare us, we will live as captives, or they will kill us. That sounds like what they would be saying there. Now, this is all going to be our Creator's words here. So I just want to make sure when I go into the editing mode on the next one, I have this as a reminder. How you doing? I see you're posting that you're visiting from Twitch. And what you're seeing here or witnessing is my editing of the Hebrew text in the Bible that has hidden formats. So let me show you what the formats look like. Here you can see that I've got the text here, and you can see I'm still editing because what I'm doing is live recording. My life is fine because I tell people at the beginning that our Creator made me see Him. So I don't have a belief. I know our Creator exists. On the YouTube side, I have a video that defines or tells you how you yourself can um, witness the abyss if you're a male. Where is that? When you understand what's going on, that the atheists are in the control of the text, and they aren't the good guys. Here's that. Your life is fine, I hope. Well, there is the. How come that didn't pop up? Okay, forgot to push that. Well, I have asthma, so I do sound a little rough. So you're a Christian, real good. Okay. Let me. This is. I I usually post this that here's a test for Christians to see how weak of a Christian they are, or how strong of a Christian they are. So let me put that up. You'll find that quite eye opening. And I think there's like 15 questions. And I think I've said that if you get even 5 of them right, you're more of a Christian than 90% of the people. But they are so easy of a question, most people miss them. My brother, who goes to church every Sunday, I give it to him, and he said he only got 2 out of 15. So, but this is the hidden format that's being revealed, and I'm going to put all the text together, and we'll have one long story of the truth of what happened. Right now, the first link in the chat room, I have our Creator's hidden formats that took me 5 years to combine. This is, and they need like 3 or 4 rules that have to be followed to actually find those hidden formats, which proves our Creator actually has, even with all their stuff they added into the text, the story that comes there is we have the last 7 or 8 days of Jesus in Jerusalem. So, and right now I'm doing a different type of format. That's why I'm recording this one, because this one is much easier for people to find. And right now I'm finding more information in here but I'm using only truthful stories, that I might be using this on the Hebrew side. I still don't know, because there's a lot in here. So now, okay, yeah, the word pray is gonna be in the question test. So you might you have to tell me what the definition of the word pray or prayer is, or prayed. So what I'm doing is I'm just mumbling here as I'm editing to record it for history. And I think this is like video maybe 500 for what I'm going to record for history. The other ones are like I've done earlier, because I think I got like 200 videos more, 250 more videos that are like my first attempt at doing this. And then I realized how good I got after I went through all but the last ones. And I realized that, hey, this is like the 3rd book and I'm really doing really good here. So I had to start over. So, okay, they will kill us. And yes, this needs to be, our Creator's words need to be highlighted here. I'm going to have to put in the evening because the word twilight is after the sun has disappeared on the horizon. That light is known as the twilight. So this can't be, so this can't be the twilight time. This has to be evening. So let's see here. This will be green. In the evening, they went. So here, 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 and here to the camp for the Armenians. I'm going to have to word but here and that behold. But there was I'm going to have to put this and say, but there was nobody. So this I'm adding. This I'm going to read, but there was nobody. I don't need to say there because we know that they're at the camp. Now, this would be the writer's words that they would have put into the text at some time. Now, I'm going to say that this about hiring the king of Israel has hired against us. These guys have been dead for over 1,000 years. They wouldn't, king for Egypt wouldn't send his troops up there because you have to understand the layout of the land, that if they're here and they've surrounded it, the camp has to be somewhere they can cross the river and go back. So most likely there's this camp that's over here, and then they're going to flee and cross through here. So there has to be a road that's in here that I don't have. The brown is what I'm representing as the roads. So the new text, to have this story explained, has to have that the camp is over here, and then there's going to be a road that's got to be across from here to get over to here, which means the story above, this might make more sense that it has now fallen to Aram, because right now in our Creator's Hidden Formats, Aram owns this area, and the battle that Ahab the king had died was here. So this story has to be of a different king that they're being surrounded here. Or this story is out of location. So this can't be true. So this is just something that's made up by the writer later. They don't know why the camp is in, because later they're going to go back to the tent, go back to the gatekeepers and tell them what happened. And then the king down here woke up in the night, and he's saying that the Armenians done or did this. So the thing here is this would have been a made-up story that the writer is trying to put in his own words, and it could be when it was corrupted. So the thing here, but there was nobody. If there was nobody, they arose and fled and left their tents just as it was. Now, and okay, if there was nobody and they had left their tents, so this is not needed, I don't think. No, they had left their tents. This they would have used as to flee on. They wouldn't have left them behind. It's quite a distance they're going to go because it's like 4 miles or 2 miles to the river and then to get on the other side. So, yes, it is. They left their tents and the camp just as it. Now, if I'm a writer, can I use the writer past tense, the word here, as was? And they had left their tents and the camp just as it was and fled for their life, just as it was, like a running for their lives, like a, yeah, I'll use this. Although this is, I guess I'm just replacing this word. And this is close enough that, like a running for their lives. And I have got them just men that are hungry and not having an amount. They had left their tents and the camp just as it was, like a running for their life. So these men entered a tent and ate and drank. Now this they wouldn't. They didn't need. And took the food. Entered a tent and ate and drank. Now that means the tent has to have supplies in there of food, which would be like dried fish, dried meats, vegetables, and a water supplied for them. Now this is an army camp, so they all have to have reasonably, maybe they wouldn't have had, each of them wouldn't have had water in there. So they entered a tent and ate their food, because the water supply would be outside someplace where they would go and get it. That wouldn't be in everybody's tent. But if they're going to siege for a while, okay, maybe they did. That's a rough one to say that that's true. And then they carried from there. Oh yeah, these guys, the soldiers carrying the silver and gold, and they hid their clothes that they had there, that they changed from their army clothes so they could tour the hill countries. Yeah. And I don't think they need to go enter another one. Then they said to each other, we are not doing right. For this day is for this day is for good news. We cannot keep silent. I don't think there's anything that who's going to punish them. That doesn't make sense. Now, therefore, now let's go. Let us go. Oh, I got the word. I got what I need is down here. Wait a second. Let us go. So I don't need any of this. Let us go and tell the gatekeepers Let us not keep count. So they went. They went, called out to the gatekeepers of. I got to put in the city's name because they would I don't have one. I got to spell it out. So to the gatekeepers for Samaria, they told them, saying, we went to the camp and the Armenians, and we saw oops, we went to the camp for boy of all the time for the Armenians, and we saw no one was there. Don't need to say this. And the gatekeepers went, and a gatekeeper went, and a gatekeeper went and told kings, guard this. I think there'd be more than one guard that he's going to approach at the door for where the king lives. So now I got that. They went to they went to the king and woke him up in the night. And they told news. Have to add this. All right. And he said, to his servants, the guards would have had to get into the house. The servants would have ran. Okay, so the word servants is right. I will now tell you what this wants to separate here. Now, sometimes the different stories do go to a 4-verse format. So this is where it gets dangerous. So I got to watch how I'm editing here. Because this, but he's got to be told the news. So I can't leave that out of the subject. So that has to be there. And they told him the news. Then, and this is, I'm going to add it this way. Then he told they can't be servants. These have to be like advisors. He's got to talk to somebody important on what's going on. So this is going to be a little bit of time. Like this is the next day. Okay. Oops. That's too big of a change, but not worth yeah, I better say I added it. I will now tell you what the Armenians have done to us. Now see, that's a 4-verse. So that means that this has got to be separation here. They know we are hungry. Therefore they have gone from the camp to hide themselves in the field. Saying when they come out of their city, fortress. That's what's going on here with the city. This is fortress. That's what's going on with this word. That's so this is a fortified city. Well, where did I add? Gatekeepers for the fortress. Okay. More truth revealed as I go through. We will capture them alive and get into their fortress. But one of his advisors said, please this has to be send please send please send saying please send men to know the truth. Well, these fuchsia colored words are words that were added in 1977 NSAB, and that's how I let you know that where those words came from. Now this I don't need because I've got it better written right here. And the king sent now this would be where it would be some men, and the king sent here. I'm going to put the king's name. We don't know who the king is here, except for way up above. So I'd like to introduce his name and sent to the Armenians' camp. And go see this would have to be where where they went afterwards. And look around. And go look around. And they went also they went also now when I'm reading all this, it seems that there's a lot of text that's missing here that I got to put in. If they went to look to around, okay, I got that. Then they also so they then they also went to the Jordan and saw all um, now this would be a road, but because of the location, I don't. Well, I have to put road. Why? I was trying to think. Maybe it's a path. Maybe it's a trail on the road. It's full of equipment. The Armenians had thrown away in haste. Now, then is who are these? These aren't messengers. Then his messengers returned and told the king. Then this has to be guards, trusted men that were around him. So this is more or less within the shadow. So I got to add the word guards somewhere above here. sent his guards and he sent his guards to the, okay, there we go. That's a 4 verse, and then I got back to a 3 verse. Now this is telling me that this is needed. This has to be, this would not really need to be needed. This would definitely could be all extra. Full of equipment. Then his guards returned and told the king everything they had found. Let's say I had to see it first. Saw and found. Now the story might change back to a 4 verse or 3 verse. No. Then their people and plundered the camp, the Armenians. Now, this is saying that our Creator prophesied this. So this is actually, I don't need this. According to his prophecy. Oh, here, this is going to be, this is all wrong. Like now they're going to add more to the prophecy about some guy getting trampled. And they're going to say it was this guy that commented like this. And this doesn't matter here either. Okay, now I'm going to grab chapter 13 here, or no, 7. Pull up this, stick 7 here. We'll do a quick cleanup. Where I got this. Spaces there. And yeah, I'm looking for, when does it go to 4 verse? Now it breaks right here for a 4 verse, right on time. And this is the difference between writers. Sometimes they run them together and others don't. And this, right on cue, ended exactly where it was supposed to. Look at that. 2, 2, space, 2, space, 2. Whoops. You can see it better when I do this. That we have the complete story. I didn't need to add any really whole paragraphs, but I did add a lot of words to make it truthful. So that is done. Now 8. Now this is a completely different story. Spake to the woman. Now her husband has, in the previous story, this woman's name is known, so it might be, I'm going to have to add her name in here, but so I'll do this. But what I got to fill you in on the story so you understand how I'm going to play out doing the text here. The story is that there was a woman that, as he kept walking by their place, she would invite him in to eat, and then they actually built him a place to rest for the night. And then Elijah asked her, what does she want that he could help her out with? Like, do you want to talk to the king, stuff like that? And she says, no. And then he asked his attendant, and his attendant said, they have no children. So in the laws for our Creator that the inheritance of the land goes to his son, Elijah said, this time next year, you will have a son. Then the next story goes that her husband dies because he is older, and they come to take her land from her. So the thing here is she, because the son is still young, said that, what shall I do? And Elijah has her go collect a bunch of pots, and she's going to fill it with oil that she's going to pour out and then sell it off to pay off her debt, and then they could live there. So now the story is coming here that he's going to send her away from the land because there's going to become a famine. Now that you're caught up on the story, now Elijah spake to the woman whose son he had restored to life, saying, arise and go with your goods, with your items. And I'm going to say I'm adding that because or I could just say household goods. And now you got a better understanding. In journey to wherever you, and journey wherever. Because if I use this, it would be a journey and journey wherever you want. So I got to get rid of this. 4 verbs. For YB, now see, this is a different subject. YB has called for a famine in the land. So and this is the promised land, so got to understand what land we're talking about for 7 years. So now I have to go up here and say, now this is where I use the word then. Elijah spake to the woman he had restored. Now that could be written like that. Then Elijah spake to the woman whose son he had restored. But it's actually our Creator had restored. This is too much a 3 verse. Elijah spake. To son. Nope, can't use that. I don't like the word restored, but it's the best I got right now. That probably going to be looked at later. Maybe I better put an underline under it. Now he's going to call for a famine for 7 years. Son did and she gathered her goods gathered her household goods and journeyed to, and I'm going to put a blank here because I don't know where she went, but she surely didn't go into the Philistines. They were the enemy. So At the end of 7 years, the woman returned. She went. Her husband's promised land, inheritance land. So it is just a small L. Her land, although it's important, but it's inheritance, but it's different than what I want to use as to mean promised land. Her home and land. At the end of 7 years, the woman returned. To Samaria. To seek from don't know the king's name, but it's got to be here. Now the king was talking, can't be this guy. This guy has died. He went after the guy that was sent from the other king, the commander, to cure his leprosy, and he went and grabbed the money from him. So, but we have to introduce a new servant's name here. Talking with MC and then the attendant. Now this, oops, yeah, I'm replacing that, so I'll just put it in yellow. Wait a second. If I put the word his here and make it his servant, then I don't have this. His, whoops. recorder for Elijah. The king talked. She appealed her to seek, and the king talked with his recorder for Elisha. Tell me all the great things Elijah has done. And as he was telling, I think, now that I'm thinking, it's got to be this king. Because he hasn't been introduced in the story yet. Came into the king for house and land, and his quarter would recognize her because he had filled out that from the time before. He would have had to check the story to write it down, so he went to her. So that's how the story gets into the text, which is cool to know, how they know the story, how they figured it out. Now, this king is a good king, so I'm going to put these two. Otherwise, they would note it as don't need this. My lord king, this is the woman, and this is her son. You tell him her story. Her stories. I just got done telling you that this was an ongoing thing. Then no, what is a somebody has to be an official here. I'm going to put the recorder. His recorder to restore all that is hers. There was a famine, so this wouldn't account. So I don't think this is needed, although let's see here. On the story, it go this is be 2 here. This would 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 be 2 here. It's 2. And I got to say this would be 2. So I gotta this is already spread all to hers. And plant a garden from the day that she left, even until all that was her. she wouldn't have carried the stuff that was needed in the field and everything. So this and everything for the land. And that way she's got equipment and everything for the land. And the day she left, and everything to produce from the land that day. She left her land. Then I get rid of that. And everything to produce from the land that day. That she left her land. I'm hoping that reads right later. That just, it's in my head, it's kind of confusing now. I got so much stuck in there. And everything to produce from the land that day. And it's not reading the way I want it to. And everything to produce from the land that day when she left. When she left. Now that reads better to me. Boy, only 6 verses got through all that. Yeah, sure. Then Elisha was then as Elisha, it has to be as, then as Elisha was coming to Damascus, heard it. He is the king. King was sick. No, I got already all this. Told him, saying to me, has come here. But he's not there because this guy's got to go receive him with a gift. So he went out to meet him. See, and he got like 40 loads of goods for him. That's bullshit. Um, this would have been a guard at the gate for Damascus would have said this. Elijah came into Damascus. Ben-Hadad heard of it, but king sick. How did that work? Put it there. Now Ben-Hadad, their king, was sick. Now that reads better. Now this is a different story. Oh, you're just going to put up a little reminder for me, for myself. That was told him, saying, his guard. Let's come here. This it's got to be a 3-verse because I can't get anything out of there. So this has got to be a 3-verse. So this goes up here. This will not be needed. You got to understand he's the king. Now this guy, I might be changing the first letter to this here, so because I think he's been around for too long. I can remember him arguing and battling before, so this would have to be his son was sick. Is the next key there? And his guard told him, St. Elijah has come here. As king, he told or commanded. I'm not sure yet here, but I'll use told. I'm going to put his son, because I know the story, what's going to go on. His son take a gift. Meet with Elisha and ask for him to ask. Not that it's green. To ask YV. Recover from my sickness. Question mark. They were kind of good from Damascus. Yeah, that's overdone. Yeah, 40 camel loads. Yeah, and you're going to drop them off to one guy who's going to be able to control all 40 of those camels and feed them on the way back. I tell you, oversalted words. Sometimes it's just outright funny. So Hazel. Went to meeting with a gift in his hand. As he stood before him, he said, our king Because Elijah wouldn't know who's who when he's coming. So, unless our Creator's going to inform him. So, Aaron has sent me his son to you to ask YV to recover from my sickness. She said to him, go say to him, he will surely recover. But he has shown me he will certainly die. Now, how do I make this? Do I do this? Say this. Okay, I got to take a quick break. I'm going to put up Psalms over here off to the side, and that way it gives you something to read. Those are about Jesus in Psalms. All right, I need to set things up here, and I'm back. I'll leave Psalms running. So I don't know. He isn't going to weep, I don't think. Because even though he's going to start down, because I know the evil you will do. Like all this. Oops. I need this. He will certainly die. I know. I know. Evil you will do. Evil would be to kill him. I know what you will do. I know what you will do. It's getting early. Oh, it's 1 o'clock, almost 1 o'clock. That's why it's a little warmer. By what you will do. And all this dash people and to rip up the babies in their womb. No. He's kind of got to ask him, that said. It's got to be him. I'm using these 4 dots. I'm going to get rid of all this. Get rid of this. What? What? I to do. That would become what am I to do? Now, if he's asking him what this will do here. Is it by, or is it by a great thing? Great deed. Is it, or am I to do? Will it be by a great deed? Will be by a great. What am I to do? Will it be by a great deed? Showing me you will be king. Area. Then if I put his name in, it might make more sense here of who's been. Then gave him the gift and then he left. Okay. If you're wondering what happened to the gift, me too. Then it seems like this might be in return to his father. Who asked him to return to his father, who asked him, what did what to say to you? And he answered him by and you will also die. I used the word would surely recover. That's exactly what I need there. You would surely recover, and you will also die. But this is, and he answered him by saying, and it's a trick way of saying this. He answered him by saying, you would surely recover, and you will also die. He took a cover, he took a cloth. Because this is, you can't take the whole bread sheet. Dipped it in water. Well, it happened. No, next day, I don't need this. On the next day, he took a cloth and dipped it in water. No, I think it's close enough. And covered. This is the name at right here. Or I think that reads a lot more smoother. And covered his face so that his father died for him to become king. Yep. Now this is changing of subjects. In the 5th year, I got to go and correct these little things. What the hell just happened? Oh, it's supposed to be shift. That's what happens when you do a Control J. Okay. A son from Jehoshaphat. You have to know that Jehoshaphat is the king. Became our king. That's how the writer would write it. Now this is supposed to be a good king. Whoops. Okay. Good king. Now that's how this guy becomes king. Now I got to show you the timeline because the story's starting to confuse me. So where is he? If it's this son, it's Joash. Whereas his son from Joseph, our king, became our king. I'm in the 5th year of this guy. So what's the timeline telling me here? This guy in the 5th year of this guy. And I got him as a good king. Now that sounds like that's better. But the fifth and the fifth here. It doesn't read better that way in the fifth year for as a because you need it that from you have to say he's a son unless you know. Yeah, I don't see it that way. In the fifth for this king. Okay. I'm just checking to see how much I got. 29 verses. Okay, time is 2 hours 20 minutes. He was 32 years when he became king and reigned and ruled. Now, problem is I'm sure it was, like 39 years. Three tens and nine. He has to be 22 years old. This would have made him the youngest son. And he ruled 3. I change this word up here to at 2 tenths and 20 years old. He became king. And he ruled 3 years in Jerusalem. And he lived like, well, this is saying that I got the wrong king. So what have I got here? Let me add that and let me take a look at the timeline. Well, if I got it wrong, it's when this guy in his 5th year, this guy in this guy's 5th year, and he ruled 11 years. This will be needed. This is wrong. In the 5th year, or Joash. Joash, Joram, a son from Ahab. Or that would be, then it would be, yes, there it is. The son from Ahab. Okay. Years. Was king Israel. Now at this time, he hasn't ruled, so this would be Israel when it's good. And Joash, a son from Jehoshaphat, king. Our king became king. Became, and this I can't use. If this is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. At 20 years old, he became king. Became king at 20 years of age. Which would make him his youngest son. And the funny thing is, I'm now realizing David's youngest son was Solomon, that ruled this year. Then this Rehoboam has to be his youngest son, his youngest son, his youngest son. So that's how it's done, which is new to me. I've studied these kings for so long and in detail. I missed that part. They all have to be the youngest son. And that's unique to know. This is telling us this and this are together. Now I have to go back to this guy who was king. I got to put it here. And that's this guy, Joel. So it's not confusing the new reader. It's not working that way. And he ruled 3 and 10, 39 years. That has to be this guy who is this. And it would be that they're changing subjects. And then to go back to this one, and as Jerome lived, he did evil. In YHVH's sight, and as Jerome lived, he did evil. Did evilness in YHVH's sight. This is not true. Surrounded him, and he fled in their tents. Now, this isn't this king. This king is Israel. Edom is below the salty lake, or what people call the Dead Sea, is the salt lake. He wouldn't be the one to cross over. This is a city that's in Israel, I think. Let me check real quick here. What is this city? Oops. Linkage is the one I was thinking. So this, I don't have recorded. But I can't accept any of this. Edomites are, this is wrong as to who done this. If it's in his name, and this is where Edom was at. Now they had populated this area. He would have come down here to go to them, because this is land for Israel. So is it this king? To not be under Judah. Now, if I got it right now, set up a king. Then Joash crossed. What's the river's name here? Is it our river? Zedred River. Zebred. You got to use the word river here. Has revolted. I'm trying to figure out how many men are coming over. Oops. Okay. So how do I say that they revolted? Because he's not going to be a chariot. Cross the river. With what? I might have to, well, if it's a 3 verse, 1, 2, 3, 4, no, it's not a 3 verse. With, who do you cross over with? With a force, which means it's not many, it's just like a group with a force of men. Uh, let's say I have to add all that. And it came about that as he was came about he but they had but they had surrounded but as as they were this has to be Edom's surrounding them as force fled. Well, wait a second. I think that's within the shadow of that word. His force fled. If this is made 3 verse, this is not needed. Got 3 verse there. Edoms were surrounding them. And his force fled. This is not making any sense here. So to get rid of this. So it's like as they crossed the river, it came about that Edoms were, were surrounding them. So his force fled. So Edom revolted against Judah. Has broken, or has, I guess, revolted right now, but I'm saying that they had to just kind of like break apart. They weren't no longer paying tribute or paying taxes to them anymore, because they were doing that from starting from David's time. Now this is reading out of order. They are written down in the book of Chronicles and the Kings. For Judah, So the actions, I might change that to deeds. I've thought about that a couple times. Oh, King Joram, who is supposed to be this guy, not this guy. Now this is three verse. So now this king that they got here. See, he can't be buried with David's father. So this is obviously, this guy is wrong. That proves to me that I'm right with this king. And he didn't sleep. That's, anyways, he died. Forefathers. You don't have graveyards in the side of the city. By the city. And this has got to be Bethlehem, or yeah, Bethlehem. Bethlehem. And then this is not true. So who becomes king after him? How's that spelled? Amaz. At 12 years old? Which doesn't sound right. If he was, that makes him about, I had him at 22, so he's dying at 62. He ruled for 20 years. Or 2 10s. Or 2 10s. I can throw that out. Because we're talking about his son. His son became king for 2 10s. Okay. $22 if he was 60. He had to have a son at 40 for him to be 20. So he has to be 30 years old. That's the better answer. Was 32 years old. That makes him, when he was 30, had his last son. He was king. And he reigned, ruled. Two towns and what the hell? And he ruled 20 years. And we know where the kings rule. And we don't need to know this because this is going to be all made up. Daughter of a king. Yeah, right. You're not supposed to marry a foreign. Well, this is the king from Israel. That's no. This is this king, and this was this year old when he was king, and he ruled which is 20 years. And no, he did not do evil because he's a good king. So he didn't do evil. they're trying to say that I've got to go back and tell them about this king here, but it's already told he done evil and all about him. So that means I don't need this. And this story here of a king going to battle them is coming up here to Samaria, and then they went over here. But that was Jehoshaphat that did this. So that's all wrong. And they did. Oh, this. It has to be when. Because what you're seeing here is, let me do this. Maybe get rid of that and put it up like this. No, wrong map. Okay, I gotta change screens here. I don't like that map either. Now this has already been done. This was, I just showed you that the other one, they had battled here. This is where Elijah met him. This is where they came down and surrounded him, according to what my other stories were. I've got to change all these maps a little bit. He met with Ahab, and then it was this king that went to there. But if he did it on his own and he was going to go fight them now on his own, which means that map should be that's the last battle for David. This is after Jehu becomes king. So I got an unfinished map showing this. So By putting it that way. Aaron, a son from a port, I guess. Hazel. Their king for at Raymond. Did him turn he healed in Samaria. Samaria. Now this is going to be not. Now this is what I'm saying was this battle here. And this is, they could have crossed here for this battle. There was two battles. I'm thinking that this one, this line should be here. Maybe this is this one. This is Jehu's return when he came from here. Then the second time no. But the object here is for you to know that where I'm thinking this battle is taking place. It's already been said. I was thinking it might be this king, but it's not. It's got to be this king went over to see him. Trying to put this story in my head so I know what's going on. And I'm thinking this is all out. But I'm going to put it in a different color just to get my attention that this text might be needed at another time, because if I come up with pieces that I got to put together, I got to go look for that text someplace. And this would be one of the places that I would be looking. And so, oops, copy that. I don't want to lose any of that. So, then I want to put it right here. And then I want to grab it here. Boy, that was a long story. A longer chapter than I usually have. Or text from the chapter. I got to put her name in the story to be right. This has to be a double space. This has to be one space. This has to be two. Then this has to be two here. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. It's coming out pretty good. And then 1. And then this, I said the story changes. So I can leave that marker there. King is getting awfully old. That's what I'm thinking. He's lasting too long in the story. These two are grouped together, and those two are grouped together. And the next day would be, you couldn't join that to hear really well. And it seems like this writer is pretty good at writing things. Now this is a 3 verse. This is going to a 4 verse. And I kind of like to note that from time to time. So it's got to be 2. No, see, this is jumping back to a 3 verse. So this now goes from a 4 verse to a 3 verse. Oops. Look at that, how that story ended, just like it was supposed to. Oh, that's now this is a 5 verse. I messed up someplace here. Okay, the last part of 29 here. Let me go back and see what happened at the very end. This needs to be here, and then this has to be divided here. But somewhere, you know that he's got the wound, so this afflicted. Basilar care was at, or ram was at here. There's got to be just a verse miss. That's the best I can do until I really go over this. So I hate that when that does that. My mouse rolls off my chair's arm here. And that's the end of the video for today. Getting closer. So have a great day, and I'll see you on, or I'll hopefully see you on the next video.